The idea of a points-based immigration system has been popular on the right of British politics for a while now. It rose to prominence as a UKIP policy during the early 2000s, and as a key talking point during the Brexit debate. So now with Brexit set to be fully implemented by the end of the year, the idea is finally ready to be put into practice. In this video, we'll explain how the UK's immigration system currently works, the specifics of the new points-based system the UK has just announced, and the criticisms of it. This week is your last chance to sign up for our Patreon and claim your free golden UK pin badge. This badge will never be available for public release, and is exclusively for our $10 and up patrons. That's about £9 for an exclusive badge, and we normally charge about £6 for our other badges anyway. So to get this deal and all of the other perks of membership, check out our Patreon, it's linked down below. As a concept, points-based immigration isn't all that radical. However, in the UK, it's long been associated with those on the righter fringes of politics. That's because while the UK was still a member of the EU, it was part of the EU's signature free movement policy. This meant that all goods, people and services were able to cross freely between member states. An EU citizen has the same rights to live, work and study in other EU countries as they do in their native country. This meant that the UK had a pretty open border with the rest of the EU, with citizens able to flow freely in and out of the United Kingdom, although there have always been limits on which EU citizens were able to apply for benefits in the UK. This policy only applied to EU citizens though, meaning that the other nearly 7.1 billion people in the world had to follow a very different procedure. The existing system for non-EU citizens also followed a points-based model, with potential migrants picking up points based on the job offers they had, the salaries for those roles, and their English skills. The idea of a points-based immigration system is that it only allows people you want into your country. Unlike a more open policy, a country sets a specific list of requirements, and if you match the specification well enough, you're allowed in, and if you don't, then you're not. As I said a moment ago, this isn't a totally radical idea. The UK has used it for non-EU citizens for a while now, and other countries like Australia have used it for all migrants. In fact, the phrase Australian-style points-based immigration system was widely used during the 2019 election campaign. In fact, we made a video on this very policy during the election campaign. With a reinvigorated Conservative government in place, it was always just going to be a matter of time until they changed the way that immigration works. In fact, taking back control was a core element of the Leave campaign's promise, and it made up their official slogan too. So, unsurprisingly, Priti Patel referenced the line in her official statement on the new policy, saying that excitingly, this will be our new system, an immigration system that enables the government to take back control of our immigration policy for the first time in decades. Patel went on to say that under the new points-based system, the UK would attract the brightest and best from all around the globe, boosting the economy, our communities, implications of a system like this. Before we finish, it's worth noting that to tackle the issues facing the NHS, the government have promised a separate system for the health service. This fast-track visa system for foreign doctors and nurses will allow them to get faster and easier access to the NHS. But as of yet, the details haven't been released for this separate healthcare system. What do you think of this new way of handling immigration? Do you think that the new controls are reasonable? Or do you think that they'll end up blocking the foreign workers that the UK relies upon? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Also, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon if you want to be notified when we release more videos. A special thanks to all of our Patreon backers who make videos like these possible. Migrants working in specific fields due to the salary threshold and occupations missing from the list, but the government claims that these roles will be filled by British workers. That's because they think it's the responsibility of companies to invest in and upskill those who are currently unemployed, the so-called economically inactive. The government claims that there are over 8.45 million people between the ages of 16 and 64 who are currently economically inactive. They say that employers should invest in these people and bring them into the workforce, rather than employing people from abroad. The problem with this, besides the complications and costs associated with educating millions of people, is that the number seems more than a little off. While the Office of National Statistics does recognise that there are 8.45 million economically inactive people, 27% of these are students, 26% are long-term sick, 22% are caring for family members, which leaves only 1.87 million people who are able to be brought back into the workforce. This number drops even further when you take out those who chose to retire before the age of 65, and therefore are unlikely to return to the workforce, which leaves between 60 and 80,000 people who could realistically be brought back into the workforce, significantly less than the number of migrants who are set to lose their right to work in the UK, which leaves a lot of British businesses and economists worried about the wage cap and the jobs that have been singled out. Firstly, many are worried about the £25,600 threshold because it targets many of the people who the UK currently relies on. Shadow Home Secretary Diane Abbott spoke to Newsnight about this exact issue.
Employment salary threshold will make it very difficult to recruit people like social care workers, and without social care workers from the EU, social care in London and other big cities will collapse, but the government's not concerned about that.
And she certainly looks to be right, as there are currently a huge number of migrants fulfilling roles vital to the UK that won't meet the threshold set. In fact, it's estimated that the new controls will reduce EU migration by as much as 70%. For some, this reduction is brilliant and the exact purpose of the new system. For others, it's a worrying sign that UK businesses may no longer be able to employ the staff they need. Another major concern is the exact jobs included in the shortage occupation list. As we said earlier, those working in jobs designated as shortage occupations by the Migration Advisory Committee will score the bonus 20 points they'd need to gain a visa. This list is subject to change, and the MAC will amend it over time to reflect current trends. But some are complaining that the current list, which includes roles in healthcare, engineering, education and tech, misses vital areas like construction, who say that they'll struggle to fill the shortfall left by foreign workers leaving the UK, especially if the government plans to invest in huge infrastructure projects. According to the government, this shouldn't be an issue though. There may be fewer migrants working in specific fields, bonus points can be scored for helping the UK meet an existing shortage. That's because you can earn 20 points by working in an industry which has a labour shortage, a designation made by the Migration Advisory Committee, essentially doing a job where there are currently a lot of vacancies. So to summarise, to gain a visa you must have a job offer, you must have the required skills to conduct the job, you must be able to speak English and earn at least £20,480 a year. You can then make up the remaining points by working in a shortage occupation, by being highly educated, or by earning more money. Many say that this new system is specifically designed to let through highly skilled workers while blocking low-skilled applicants. And it's easy to see why. Earning £25,600 a year in the UK isn't exactly a walk in the park, with the median salary landing at £28,677. So while the earnings cap is below the median, it certainly looks to cut off many of the lowest earning people. And this certainly isn't an accident, with low-skilled workers entering the UK being a major target for those opposed to immigration and in favour of the UK cutting ties with the EU. For years, right-wing media outlets have been awash with headlines about low-skilled, low-paid workers replacing British workers. So with Brexit done, it looks like the UK plans to stop this flow of migrants entering the UK, limiting the number of low-skilled workers in the UK job market. You probably won't be surprised to hear that this has already been a contentious move, and that's for two reasons: the exact way and unleash this country's full potential. So beyond the hype and the promises, how does the system actually work in reality, and how will the points be scored? Well, to gain access to the UK, immigrants will need to earn 70 points under the new system. They can earn 20 points if they secure a job with an approved employer in the UK. They can get another 20 points if they're deemed to have appropriate skills to fulfill that job. Then they could lock down another 10 points if they have the ability to speak English. These three things are all actually prerequisites for the whole process, with all applicants requiring English skills, a job offer and appropriate other skills. But even with these, it still leaves applicants with 20 more points to gain. The first way is based on the salary offered by the job they're coming for. If the prospective employee is set to earn over £25,600 a year, then they would score all of the remaining 20 points, earning them the right to enter the UK to work. They would gain 10 points if they were earning between £23,039 and £25,599. They'd gain no points if they were earning between £20,480 a year and £23,038. However, if they earn less than £20,480 a year, then they're not eligible at all. If they weren't earning enough to reach the 70-point threshold through salary alone, their education could also help. Having a PhD scores you 10 points, and if that PhD is in a STEM subject, then that goes up to 20 points, enough to score yourself a visa. If education doesn't work,